The summer of 2018 scorched Istanbul, baking the ancient city under a relentless sun. The air shimmered with heat, blurring the edges of buildings and turning the bustling streets into shimmering mirages. It was a summer that would be remembered for its intensity, a season where the very stones seemed to radiate heat. And Kerim, a young man with big dreams of becoming a writer and a tiny budget that barely covered his basic needs, was determined to find a place to call his own. He scoured online listings, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he searched for affordable options. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was optimistic, fueled by the unwavering belief in his future success. The search was proving difficult though. After weeks of searching, he finally found a cheap apartment on the city's forgotten edge. It was located in a neighborhood that time seemed to have passed by, a place where the buildings wore their age like badges of honor, and the streets echoed with the whispers of forgotten stories. The building itself was a crooked relic, leaning slightly as if weary from years of weathering the city's storms. Its architecture spoke of a bygone era, a time when craftsmanship and attention to detail were valued above all else. Its paint was peeling in long, sun-baked strips, revealing layers of colors from decades past. The windows were tired and watchful, like the eyes of an old soul that had seen too much. Each imperfection told a story, a testament to the building's long and eventful history. Kerim didn't care about the peeling paint or the crooked walls. It was his, a sanctuary, a place where he could finally pursue his dreams without breaking the bank. He clutched the keys tightly in his hand, a sense of ownership washing over him. Even if it meant climbing 5 flights of groaning stairs, each step a symphony of creaks and complaints. The old wooden stairs seemed to protest with every footfall, their voices echoing through the building's silent corridors. Inside, odd angles and shadows filled the faded yellow rooms, creating a sense of both warmth and unease. The walls seemed to absorb the sunlight, casting long, dancing shadows that shifted with the changing hours. Dust motes danced in the sunbeams, suspended in the air like tiny, shimmering stars, and a faint, sweet scent lingered in the air, a ghostly reminder of the apartment's past inhabitants. It was a smell that evoked memories of old books, dried flowers, and forgotten dreams. The main room's window overlooked a chaotic tapestry of tangled rooftops and laundry lines strung between buildings like colorful spiderwebs. It was a view that captured the essence of Istanbul, a city where the old and the new, the beautiful and the chaotic, existed side by side. In the small kitchen, the faucet dripped a steady, mocking rhythm, a constant reminder of the apartment's disrepair. Each drop echoed in the silence, a persistent metronome counting down the seconds. Every door creaked open unless shut just right, a subtle warning that the apartment had its own secrets and its own rules. The hinges protested with a drawn-out groan as if reluctant to reveal what lay beyond. As if the apartment itself was keeping tabs on him, watching his every move, silently judging his presence. It was an unsettling feeling, as if he were being observed by an unseen presence. At the end of a dark hallway, where the shadows seemed to gather and the air grew heavy, Kerim discovered a small, windowless storage room, chilled, silent, unsettling, a place where the sun never reached and the air hung stagnant. It felt like a forgotten corner of the world, a space where secrets were buried and memories faded. He tried to clean, opening the windows and letting the hot air in, hoping to dispel the apartment's lingering gloom. He scrubbed and swept, determined to make the space his own, to banish the dust and the shadows. But as dusk fell, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the apartment's symphony of creaks grew sinister, morphing into a chorus of whispers and groans. The shadows deepened, stretching and contorting into unfamiliar shapes. Old buildings make noises, he told himself, trying to rationalize the unsettling sounds, to dismiss the growing sense of unease. It was just the settling of the foundation, the expansion and contraction of the wood, the normal sounds of an aging structure. But as darkness settled, blanketing the city in a cloak of shadows, Kerim felt a presence, something moving, just out of sight, a fleeting glimpse in the corner of his eye, a whisper in the silence. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone. The apartment was no longer just old, a collection of bricks and mortar, wood and plaster. It was watching, waiting, its secrets stirring in the darkness. It was alive. Days turned into weeks, each one blurring into the next. The initial excitement of a new place had long faded, replaced by a gnawing sense of unease, and Kerim's routine, once a source of comfort, did little to ease the apartment's growing unease. He tried to distract himself, cleaning, organizing, anything to avoid the feeling that he was being watched, that something was amiss. But there was one place in the apartment that seemed to amplify this feeling: the storage room at the hall's end. It called to him, a silent, persistent beckoning, a tomb of dust, undisturbed for years, perhaps decades. Old newspapers, their headlines faded and stories long forgotten, stacked haphazardly in the corner, and forgotten junk, relics of lives lived within these walls, now relegated to the shadows. Finally, curiosity overriding his apprehension, Kerim stepped inside, ready to confront whatever secrets the room held. The air was instantly colder, a stark contrast to the warmth of the apartment. The silence was deeper, heavier, pressing down on him. Clearing debris, pushing aside boxes filled with forgotten memories, he felt a growing sense of anticipation. He unearthed something out of place, something that didn't quite belong amidst the clutter. A sleek, black leather doctor's bag, its leather worn but still exuding an air of professional authority. Locked tight, its metal clasp gleaming dully in the dim light. No name, no identifying marks, nothing to indicate its owner or its purpose. No key in sight. The lock a stubborn barrier to the bag's secrets. Just a heavy thud when shaken, suggesting something solid and substantial within. Why would someone leave a locked bag behind, especially one as intriguing as this? Kerim's cleaning was forgotten, the dust motes dancing in the air unnoticed. The bag became his obsession, a puzzle he couldn't resist trying to solve. He ran his fingers over the smooth, worn leather, tracing the contours of its shape, his heart pounding in his chest, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The bag was a silent mystery, a dark enigma demanding attention, promising answers, or perhaps more questions. He placed it carefully in the middle of his dusty floor, the only object of interest in the room. The question echoing in his mind, growing louder with each passing moment. What was inside, and what secrets did it hold? The storage room's secret had changed everything, casting a shadow over his new life. Kerim carefully brought the mysterious bag into the light, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. He had no idea what it contained, but the weight of it in his hands suggested something of significance. The room seemed to brighten as he stepped inside, the sunlight streaming in as if to illuminate the secrets about to be revealed. He set it down gently, the polished clasp glinting under the sun's rays, a silent testament to the secrets sealed tight within. The metal was cold to the touch, and the intricate design of the clasp hinted at a craftsmanship that spoke of a bygone era. It was a lock that seemed determined to protect whatever lay inside. He circled it slowly, his mind racing with possibilities, imagining coins, perhaps a forgotten fortune, glittering gold and silver waiting to be rediscovered. He pictured ancient currencies, each coin a piece of history, a tangible link to the past, or perhaps documents yellowed with age, filled with secrets and forgotten stories. He imagined maps leading to hidden treasures, letters revealing long-lost loves, or perhaps even something far more sinister. Or something far worse, something that should have remained hidden, something that could bring danger and darkness into his life. The possibilities were endless, and the uncertainty gnawed at him. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, he searched frantically for a key, rummaging through drawers and boxes, desperate to unlock the bag's mysteries. Every nook and cranny of his apartment was explored, each potential hiding place scrutinized. When the key eluded him, he tried to pick the lock, his fingers fumbling with makeshift tools, his determination fueled by a burning desire to know what lay inside. He felt like an intruder, violating the bag's secrets, but he couldn't resist the temptation. In a moment of desperation, he even pried with a butter knife, but nothing worked. The lock held firm, unyielding to his efforts, as if mocking his attempts to breach its defenses. The bag resisted, stubbornly refusing to yield, as if guarding its contents with a silent, unwavering resolve. It was a fortress of leather and metal, protecting its secrets from the prying eyes of the world. As dusk fell, casting long shadows across the room, the light began to fade, and a sense of unease settled over him. The bag seemed to absorb the room's shadows, growing darker and more ominous as the evening wore on, the unease growing with each passing moment. It felt as though the bag itself was alive, breathing in the darkness and exhaling a sense of dread. Curiosity slowly turned to dread, the initial excitement replaced by a growing sense of foreboding. The bag no longer felt like a potential prize, but rather a problem, a burden that threatened to weigh him down. It was as if the bag had cast a dark spell over the apartment, poisoning the atmosphere with its mysterious presence. Overcome by a sense of unease, Kerim hid it back in the storage room, shoving it into the darkest corner, hoping to forget it ever existed. He wanted to erase it from his memory, to pretend that he had never found it. But the silence in the apartment changed. It was no longer the peaceful quiet of an empty space. It felt heavier, more watchful, as if the very walls were listening, waiting. The shadows seemed to deepen, clinging to the corners of the room, and the air grew thick with an unspoken tension. Out of sight, but definitely not out of mind. The image of the bag, locked and mysterious, was burned into his consciousness. Kerim couldn't shake the feeling that he was no longer alone, that something else was now present in the apartment with him. He felt watched, scrutinized, as if unseen eyes were following his every move. The bag's presence lingered, unseen but powerful, casting a long shadow over his thoughts and actions. It was a constant reminder of the secrets hidden within, and the potential danger they represented. The apartment's secrets were awake, stirring in the darkness, and Kerim knew that his life would never be quite the same. The bag had opened a door to something unknown, and he was now caught in its web. That night, Kerim lay awake, every creak amplified by fear. The kitchen's drip stopped, silence pressed in. Then, a soft scrape from the hallway. Scrape. Deliberate, slow, like fingernails on wood. Kerim froze, heart pounding, breath held. The storage room door creaked open. He was sure he'd latched it. He imagined a shadow in the hall, watching. Hours passed in paralyzed terror, the silence thick and suffocating. The feeling of being watched grew unbearable. Kerim hid under his blanket, the bag's mystery now a nightmare. The night stretched on, haunted and endless. The apartment was alive with secrets, and Kerim was trapped inside them. The next night, Kerim left the lights on, but fear clung to every shadow. Sleep brought dreams of locked doors and endless halls. A heavy footstep jolted him awake, thump, right outside his door. Another, closer, deliberate. Kerim pressed against the wall, panic rising. The footstep stopped at his door, then retreated. Thump, thump, back to the storage room. The door creaked shut. Silence returned. Kerim sat shaking, terror, a physical ache. Something had been in his apartment, drawn to the bag. He couldn't spend another night like this. The bag's secret was no longer just curiosity, it was a threat. Kerim's fear was now a living thing. The apartment demanded action. Exhausted and desperate, Kerim knew he couldn't run. He had nowhere else to go. The storage room door beckoned, the bag's pull irresistible. He opened the door, the bag gleaming innocently in the gloom. Kerim knelt, anger mixing with fear. Hiding the bag hadn't worked. Ignoring it was impossible. The nightly visits would continue until he acted. The bag was a question that demanded an answer. He studied the lock, unpickable, unbreakable by hand. There had to be another way. Kerim's fear turned to resolve. He would force the bag open no matter the risk. Better to face the unknown than cower in terror. Tonight, the mystery would end. As dusk fell, Kerim's resolve hardened. He found a hammer, the only tool he had. In the main room, he placed the bag on the floor, the apartment holding its breath. The lock gleamed, daring him. Kerim's curiosity outweighed his fear. He had to know. He raised the hammer, ready to break the silence. Treasure or terror, he would face it. This was his home, his mystery to solve. The moment of truth had come. The silence was about to be shattered.